Please rise. Thanks for coming out today. We're going to have a bunch of people speaking, 5 or 10 minutes. The chief's going to come at the end and give his spiel before he leaves. And then there's going to be probably a half hour, 40.
More than 5 minutes.
This is his last day. Can't you give him a break? He can talk as long as he wants, Steve. And after his speech, he's going to mingle with everybody, say goodbye, and give his wishes and stuff like that. And then at one time, we'll line everybody up. All the officers are going to do a farewell salute to him afterwards. So without further ado, I'd like to get right into the guest speakers. The first one is going to be Jay Kelly, who is the Selectman Chair.
All right, for this special occasion, I'm taking the selectman hat, I'm throwing it away, Chief. I'm going to speak to you as a resident, straight from my heart. So I can't thank you enough. When you put 33 years of your life, every time you put the uniform on, for us, for them, what else can you say? So this is a true celebration. Folks always ask me, Jay, why do you love Tewksbury, my family? That sometimes, they don't live in Tewksbury. I said, because it's safe, and the residents have character, and it's safe, and it all starts with Tewksbury finest, and it all starts with leadership. And another unbelievable quality of Chief Sheehan, I call Chief Sheehan and Richard Montori, he's the town manager. You're the Bill Belichick's of your position. Each and every time you do something wonderful and you get a trophy or a plaque or you're mentioned, you do a very humble thank you, and then you always redirect to your force, Tewksbury's finest, and that is one of your best qualities. That truly defines the leader, Chief Sheehan. It's just an incredible quality. So without further ado, I actually asked the residents, the selectmen, and a bunch of residents, I said, give me 1 or 2 words that best describe Chief Sheehan. I took all those words and I put them all together. I must admit, there was one individual, they said a few bad things, but I think that individual is from Wilmington, so it doesn't matter. So without further ado, presented with great honor and recognition to Chief Timothy B. Sheehan. For 33 years, you have devoted your life to serve the people of Tewksbury. Your dedicated service to the community and to the incredible group of dedicated men and women of the Tewksbury Police Department can be described as first rate. Having served as Chief of Police for the past 10 years, your level of professionalism, leadership, loyalty, and integrity has been both commendable and admirable. Thank you for providing superior police services to the town of Tewksbury, Massachusetts, to protect and serve. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you from the Board of Selectmen. Now we're going to go to the NEMLAC Chief Fisher and Chief Kent.
Next try.
Morning, all. My name is John Fisher, the Chief of Police over in Carlisle. With me up here is Chief Michael Kent, Chief of Burlington, Massachusetts. The hat I'm wearing is I am Chief Sheehan's Assistant Control Chief for SWAT and RRT, and I have a couple comments about his world and our world in SWAT and RRT. Obviously, we're here to express our appreciation, but to talk about 32 years on the regional response team, 30 years on the SWAT team, Chief Sheehan has served admirably. For those in the room who might not know a little bit about NEMLEC, we have over 60 communities. We regionalize to cover about 1.7 million people. Chief Sheehan serves as a control chief, controlling the regional response team, the SWAT team, K-9. Three serious loves of his. If you don't know Chief Sheehan, that those are three things that are incredibly important to him. Speaking of importance, the other thing that we all know from the regional world is that there are three priorities in Chief Sheehan's life, and they really go in this order. And that's first and foremost his family, the incredible pride he has in his family, and the people that are close to him have always come number one. Number two is the incredible pride he has in the Tewksbury Police Department. If you spend any time, and we have, all these folks in the green and blue uniforms here, black uniforms from NEMLEC, know that when you're at a call out, if there's any downtime, you will. I have never been at a call out, and I've probably been at hundreds of call outs with Chief Sheehan. You've heard him tell great stories about what's going on in his family, great stories about what's going on with the Tewksbury Police Department. You will not hear a disparate word come out of his mouth about either one of those people, about either one of those groups. And the last thing he's incredibly proud of is are the men and women that serve on these special units. He's truly given a great deal to those units, a ton of his personal time. There's a lot of chiefs in this room, myself included, that he's come to our communities and helped us at our worst possible moments. That's what he does. That's just what he does. And then there are three lines, I guess, I know that Chief Sheehan's also incredibly uncomfortable about having comments directed towards him. You heard that already from the town side. And for those of us that work with him, you know it's never about him. It's always about the people wearing the green and the black and the blue and his police department and his family. But on days like this, you need to talk about him personally. And I guess I've got three lines that I have heard, I can't even tell you how many times from being around him, that probably exemplify what Chief Sheehan's been about with the specialty units, SWAT and RRT. When he talks about SWAT and RRT and K-9, the number of times I've heard him just say, we're just here to help, to other chiefs. Whatever you need, we're just here to help. You cannot be at a call out, a regional call out, without him saying that multiple times to the people involved. And then if it's not about a regional thing, if it was just me calling or another chief calling for advice, it's always, what can the Tewksbury Police Department help with? Because the men and women of the Tewksbury Police Department are here to help, not just their town, but other towns as well. And then there's Chief Sheehan as a person. Probably his most prominent line is, whatever I can do to help. And that really spells about what he's about as a person, as a family man, as a person that represents us all well regionally. And you see that the one common word there is help. And you've already heard that his town recognizes that. This is a person who was born and bred to help. And we are incredibly appreciative, the men and women who serve NEMLEC, SWAT, and RRT. And now I'd like to introduce the current president of the board of NEMLEC. We have a small token of our appreciation for Chief Sheehan. I'm going to turn this over to Chief Kent to read this and to present it. You good?
Timmy, why don't you come on up? Tough to see here. Timothy B. Sheehan, 32 years of dedicated service, NEMLEC, RRT. And I'd like to add that I'm happy that, I'm not happy that Tim's moving on, but I am happy he's staying in the profession because he is such a wealth of knowledge and he still has so much enthusiasm for this job. It would have been a shame to see him walk away in another direction. So We'll be losing a friend, but I know he's only a phone call away. Our careers were kind of parallel when we became chiefs, and it was always comforting to know that, Timmy was a short distance away if we needed anything. He's a professional, and again, the enthusiasm that he still brings all these years later is truly amazing. Thank you, Tim.
Our next speaker will be Deputy Chief Chapman and Officer Chucky DeChara. Hopefully there's no kids in the crowd.
Good morning. Before I get started here, can I have everybody in green and black all assemble behind me, please? Like Chief Fisher alluded to, it wouldn't be fitting to try and stand here and get a picture taken as we present a plaque without all these gentlemen standing behind us and being in the photo. He wouldn't have it any other way. As they're filtering in behind us, I'll start for the sake of expediency. These things are really difficult. Probably the most difficult thing being chosen as a speaker at an event like today is just having to say goodbye. And it's not goodbye forever. It's not goodbye, for the rest of our lives professionally or personally. It's just goodbye as our current status is. But the second most difficult thing is, as I was driving here today and thinking about where I was at on the program, was that when you're asked to be a speaker at one of these events, one of the most terrifying things is figuring out where you are on the program. Because I'm third. And at this point, I was like, how am I going to find any more good things to say about him? Right? Oh, that didn't go over well, I guess. But the reason I can speak like this and the reason I can jest is Tim and I have a special relationship. We go back 33 years. We went to the Tewksbury Academy together here at the Tewksbury State Hospital, the first NERPE Academy. We probably were the result of why they didn't continue to run academies out of NERPE subsequently. But we had an amazing crew of individuals that were entering law enforcement. And my ability to stay both personally and professionally involved with Tim at every level has been the most gratifying thing in my career. It really has. Again, wearing our blue uniforms, standing there at graduation from the academy, donning black uniforms of the RRT, and then subsequently being the SOU and SWAT were extremely gratifying. So without further ado, let me turn it over to Chuck DeChara. Hide the women and children. But we'll go. He'll clean it up for today.
I'm not going to say much, truthfully, because I'll start crying and make it totally awkward for everybody. So I spent 30-plus years on the SWAT team with Timmy. We started as patrolmen, roommates together down the Florida SWAT roundup. No stories from those days. Timmy obviously made way better decisions and behaved better than me because he's on the second chief's job, and I'm still patrolman after 31 years. So, but all kidding aside, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I love the guy. I have a man crush on him for 30 years. Every minute I spent with the guy in law enforcement made me a better cop and a better father and a better man. So we'll miss you. I love you. We have a plaque from the team. 30 years of dedicated, exemplary service from the NEMLEC SWAT team and RRT. Tim.
Yeah. Yep.
Just a quick photo.
Get out in front of the We're just gonna take the photo. Everybody stay, no, everybody stay there. He's trying. Chief Fisher.
Are you gonna speak?
Yeah. Okay. Stay up here.
I'll introduce you, yeah. Sergeant John Herring from the K-9 NEMLAC unit would like to say a couple words.
Good morning. First of all, I want to, it's kind of humorous that Deputy Chap would actually comment about someone talking too much. That was impressive. Anyway, I thought we were going to be eating breakfast on the Gold Coast, the Treasure Coast, not the Main Coast, but we'll work it up. So we're here today. Tim Sheehan, or Chief Sheehan, has been instrumental in us building a diverse operational K-9 unit. It's been a mentor, a boss, and a good friend to us. So we want to make sure that as he goes forward, we understand that where we are today in the K-9 unit would never have happened without the chief. So I'm very happy and pleased with that. On a personal note, he's been a great friend to me for the last 10 years. Sounding board for me. He's talked me off the ledge a few times before I said some things I shouldn't have said in my personal life and my professional life. So going forward, I'm not going to be long. So I'm very pleased that he's got another chief's job. Sorry to see him leave here. Just to let you know, Chief, I already clocked it off. Hour and 10 minutes. I have 10 dogs to your new department. So in closing, it's been a great run, and I hope it gets better for us and you in your new career. Thanks, man.
Thank you very much. Steve Ahern from Cambridge Police Department, who went to the NA National Academy with Chief Sheehan, would like to say a couple words.
Good morning. Like George said, my name's Steve Ahern, Deputy Superintendent from the Cambridge Police Department. 10 years ago, I bumped into Tim down at the FBI Boston Field Office, orientation for the National Academy. And that's when I first met Tim and his wife. He met my wife. And a couple of weeks later, we found ourselves in Quantico, the 239. I immediately forged a great relationship with Tim. For any of you that have been to the National Academy, the bonds that you make down there are extremely beneficial, and they go on for your entire life. So for the past 10 years, we've been thick as thieves. We've watched our families have successes. We've also seen each other have some successful profession. And I just wanted to thank you, Tim, for being a great friend for the past 10 years, and I know we'll be friends forever. Your lovely family. From the 239th, my classmate Scott Benton is here as well, and I just wanted to present you with, some nice gifts here.
Next, Sergeant Perry will be speaking for the Mass Police Association.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. For those who don't know me, my name is Sergeant Mark Perry. It's kind of tough. For the past 30-plus years, our friendship has seen some of the best and worst times of the department, but we always remain close and supported of each other through every personal and professional milestone we face. Throughout my career, I've served under 4 chiefs. Confidently, I'd have to say Chief Sheehan's leadership in this department is probably the greatest in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, such as the technology, training, and equipment, to name a few. We are probably the best equipped department. Chief Sheehan is a family man. He takes so much pride in this department, making sure every officer is trained in the skills not only to protect the residents of Tewksbury, but to go home safely at night to their own families. These officers are his family. While most people will turn their radios off when they leave work, Chief Sheehan turns his radio up. He'll be the first one to jump on a call to back somebody up or head to an alarm call on his way home. He is incredibly hardworking. Most days he shows up to work at 9 a.m. and leaves at 9 p.m. So on behalf of the Tewksbury Police Association, I'd like to present Chief Sheehan with his plaque as a token of our appreciation for the 33-plus years he served for the department. Chief Sheehan, thank you for your service, dedication to the department, and wish you best of luck in the near future and your future endeavors. Chief Sheehan.
Please come in, have seats. There's plenty of seating. Find some place to sit if you would like. The next person will be Captain Detective Retired Boston Ed McNeely.
Morning, everybody. Chief, thank you for inviting me here today. My name's Ed McNally, and I represent an organization called Cops for Kids with Cancer. And I look around the room today, and I see a lot of familiar faces of cities and towns that we have been to assist families that have a child stricken with cancer. Chief Sheehan has been one of our biggest supporters, and we thank you for that, Chief. And just to give you an update where the organization that you helped is that since our inception in 2003, we've assisted some 750 plus families to the tune of $4.1 million. That's what we have given to the families. The best part of the organization is that everybody in the organization is a volunteer. Nobody gets paid 1 penny. And again, it's with Chief Sheehan's assistant and other chiefs and officers that I see in here who have helped us. I would like to thank you on behalf of Cops for Kids with Cancer. And Chief, if you could come up and accept a presentation from us. On behalf of the Board of Directors of Cops for Kids with Cancer, a flag, an American flag for the Cops for Kids with Cancer to hang up in your new office. Thank you very much. And we have one more. We have one more gift, Chief, and there was a little special thought in there. Let me just give you a little background behind it. We all know that cops like T-shirts, and we know that you're going to Maine. And what I understand is a lot of these people that you trained have long guns, and they hunt up there. And again, we want to protect you. We don't want anything to happen. So with a lot of thought behind it, we got you a shirt for Cops and Kids with Cancer, and we think it's the appropriate shirt. So if you would, Chief.
Neon yellow. You think I'll stand out?
I think you'll stand out. You got to ask them over there, Chief. They're the ones you got to ask.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate all your effort. Thank you. You want to come up front?
Yeah, we'll take a nice picture.
We don't have to hold the T-shirt up.
Thanks, Chief.
Our next speaker will be Town Manager Richard Montori.
Thank you and good morning. For the past 10 years, the town of Tewksbury has been very fortunate to have Tim Sheehan as its police chief. For the past 10 years, I've been in a unique situation because I actually started at the same time Chief Sheehan took over his position as chief of the police department. I wasn't sure what I was getting in the new police chief, but it didn't take long for me to realize that not only was the town fortunate to have him as their police chief, but as town manager, I couldn't have asked for a better person. Many of you may not know, but when he took over as police chief, he had no easy task in front of him. The town was in probably its worst financial situation it had ever been in. We were facing budget cuts. The demand on the department for service was increasing. And the world of public safety was changing, specifically in the area of policing. But like everything Tim Sheehan has taken on in his life, he took on with hard work, dedication, and an incredible enthusiasm that I've never seen in another individual. He had transformed this department into one of the best, if not the best department in the entire Commonwealth, and frankly, I would like to say in the entire country. His hard work on a daily basis was done with such happiness to be the police chief. I've never seen anybody in their job love their job and come into their job like he has. He would come into my office regularly singing a song. I would set aside half hour with Tim, and an hour and a half later, the meeting would end. Couldn't get him out of a meeting and couldn't get him to stop talking, and he would talk about his department. Never talked about himself, talked about the men and women that served his department. And before the meeting ended, as it was said earlier, you would hear stories about his family. And one of the things I admire most about Tim Sheehan is the love and the dedication he has to his family, constantly talking about his wife and his children. And I'm sure one of the proudest moments he had was when his daughter became a member of our police department. So for me, Tim moving on is a great loss, not just as a police chief, but as a friend. Over the past 10 years, we've developed a strong friendship. We talk constantly. There was no day of the week or time of the day that we haven't talked. I'm going to miss that, but I wish him all the luck in the world as he moves on to his next adventure. I know he will do that with the same enthusiasm and dedication that he gave us. So the town of Tewksbury is not only losing a great police chief, it's losing a great resident. He has been here his whole life. We're losing a great friend. The department heads will miss you, Tim. The public officials in this town will miss you, but most, I will miss you. So thank you for everything you've done. And I know this won't be the last time I see you. I hope to stay in close touch with you, and I'm sure we'll meet again to do other things. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. The singing people next door are so happy that the chief's leaving, so they don't have to hear him sing every morning when he comes in. Most people look for vehicles to see if the chief's here. We just know all we do is listen. And believe me, I'm going to miss that tune every morning. Our next speaker will be Chief Mark Leahy from Mass Chiefs.
Good morning, everyone. Tim, congratulations. I know it's a wonderful day for you and your family. Everyone, on behalf of our president, Jeff Farnsworth, from the town of Hampden out in Western Mass, we send our brother Tim our very best wishes to him as he moves on to his next career. He's also joining that elite circle of people that are now in the multi-state Chiefs group too. So I'll let you know when we have our next meeting. It's a good thing, yeah, definitely. Tim has really, truly distinguished himself as a leader in our profession. I think it's also admirable when you sit and listen to the very kind words from Town Manager Montori as well. That's an unusual partnership. It makes the entire community better when both halves of that relationship have the good fortune to experience it. So that's a wonderful thing. It speaks volumes about both of you. And remembering that we're all doing the people's work. Tim was a very solid member and supporter of the things that the Mass Chiefs of Police Association did. He served as the chair of our Civil Service Commission, which is where I leaned on him the most. And you know, for an awful lot of chiefs, there are always those bleak mysteries that surround civil service. And when somebody would call, I frankly had the good fortune to be, and I'll call it that, chief in a non-civil service department. But when I had those questions posed, I would always reach out to Tim to be the one that would try and help somebody navigate those waters. He also served as the chair of our Firearms Committee and was a member of our Chiefs Assistance Committee, our School Safety and Security Committee, and our Substance Abuse Committee. And y'all thought all he did was NEMLOC. He's a person that made contributions and donations everywhere he went. And just as he was sitting there with that smile a second ago, that's what everybody thinks of when they think of Tim Sheehan, is that smiling face coming at you. The singing, I think, personally, I wasn't familiar with. I do remember, however, just in case, I'd like to point out to you, Tim, that the microphone is stationary here, so we won't have any embarrassing repeat of the Pagonis incident. I know you loved that night. But anyway, so congratulations. So if you join me, please, I have two things for you. While he's on his way up here, the thing that I'd like everybody in the room to remember is this is a wonderful day of celebration. It's a day of celebration whenever a police officer reaches retirement safely and goes back home to their family. Please remember that not all of our brothers and sisters have that day. People give their life in the performance of their duty in this job, as all of our first responder partners do. So please remember them today at the same time that we're celebrating. So Tim, first of all, your life membership card. I'm doing that first because I usually forget it until I get home. And now the moment you've waited for, since you were a young pup. Yes.
The Rolex.
The coveted Mass Chiefs Rolex watch. I didn't realize there were two X's on Rolex, but. So, on behalf of, a little over 400 of your brother and sister chiefs in cities, communities, and college campuses all across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, we hope that you will wear this in good health, that you'll have a successful career up in South Portland. We have no doubt about that. And the only piece of advice I'll give you is wear this, wear it with pride. I just don't recommend that you wear it in the shower. So.
Thank you, Chief. Right before Chief Sheehan speaks, the Town of Tewksbury Police Department would like to present you with an award. There's so much to say about this guy, and I don't have enough time to tell you all the great things he is, but he was like a father to me, and to everybody else in this police department. It's a sad day, and Richard Montori said it. He's got the biggest shoes to fill, and I don't think anybody I know that can fill those shoes. And he's just a really fantastic guy. I told him he can stay as long as he wants. I love being the number 2 guy when he's here. He's incredible, and we're gonna definitely miss him. So I'd like to get the whole police department up here, Tewksbury Police, and we're gonna present the chief with a little thing we put together. All members of the Tewksbury Police Department. Just have 2 guys who. As you can see, it's all the badges from all the different roles that he did, and I think today, after listening to all the speakers, you realize that it's not just Tewksbury police officers that he has this relationship with. It's NEMLAC, it's SWAT, it's Mass Chiefs, all these different communities and all these different badges represent what he has. And Lieutenant Columbus actually put that together with the Detective Bureau, so I just want to give him a little accolades. Chief, can you come up, please?
He's gonna.
We're gonna just take a quick picture while we're up here.
It's like I'm something taller than you.
Slide out over here, mister.
Oh, Kayla.
No kissing, just borrowing money from you. Somebody can help me hold this up. Or we'll just stand around it. It'd be easier.
Get up so everyone can see. So just to summarize real quick, so Chief Sheehan's going to come up, give his words. After that, we'll probably have a half hour where you can go around and talk to the chief and tell stories and stuff like that. And probably 11:30, 11:45, we're going to get everyone together, and all the police officers are going to send off salute. So without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who fights for truth, justice, and the American way, I'll probably never hear that again. Come on up, Chief Tim Sheehan.
Anybody got reading glasses? All right.
All right. We're starting this off as a disadvantage because I forgot to bring my reading glasses, so it's going to be directly from the heart as it was going to be anyways, but then probably more organized if I could see. Huh? No, I'll be all good. Thank you. I'm overwhelmed, obviously, with the volume of people here and good friends, family, the police department. My brothers in green and black, you know, K-9 has a special spot in my heart. That and SWAT. And, you know, just being a police officer, probably the most important things that I've ever done in my whole entire life, besides getting married and having my 3 beautiful children, 2 of which are here. My daughter Megan surprised me today, flew in from Baltimore. I didn't think she could come because, like myself, my daughter Kayla, she wraps herself around public service too as a nurse practitioner. Graduated from Johns Hopkins, is down in Maryland. About to marry a homicide detective in Baltimore. Probably not a busy job for him and her at all either, but I tell the story all the time, and it's probably apropos that I tell it right now. Is I told my 2 daughters growing up to never marry cops. Don't have relationships with cops. Never marry a cop. They work odd hours. They're going to be gone all the time. They'll miss your kids' sports and all these other events. And lo and behold, I got my daughter Kayla, who's sitting here next to her live-in boyfriend, who's a cop. And I have my daughter that's a nurse that's marrying a cop. So obviously, for those of you that are parents, you know everything that you say, they do the opposite. So I should have said, marry a cop. Go out with a cop. It's going to be the best thing in the world. We might have a lawyer and a doctor sitting over here instead. But in all reality, I couldn't be prouder of them, and I love their significant others, and I love the fact that they're willing to put their life on the line for other people. So just in a nutshell, a lot of people to thank. I want to thank everybody in this room. It's incredible that you're all here. You know, this is incredible, really. The people that I want to thank the most, obviously, is my family, because they supported me for these 33 years. This is a great run. You know what I mean? I'm speechless. Imagine that. Imagine me being speechless. But I'm speechless with respect to, you know, the 33 years of doing what I love, where I love to do it, and being supported by the people I love. So a lot of people came from great distances today, and I appreciate that as well. I'm going to do my very best when this is done to try to spend a few minutes with everybody that's here. I see Karen Orr, who's a very special friend of mine that really got this community into a position where we could help a lot of people. As I'm looking out, I might identify some of you people that I'm focusing on. But with respect to others that I have to thank besides, you know, my family, it's first and foremost the men and women of the Tewksbury Police Department who have given me a very special gift, and I don't mean this thing out here, but it's what you've given me every day for the last 10 years. It's really put us on the map, really made us what I think is the best police department in the world, most service-oriented police department, and that's what I had you know, attempted to accomplish when I first came here. I made a speech when I came in as chief. I made a lot of promises. Made a lot of promises to the people in blue on my agency. I told them I would love them, I would care for them, I would provide them with the best, but it would come at a price. That you have to give me your very best every single day. You have to give the citizens of Tewksbury and the people we interact with their very best, and you have. And that's why we're as good as we are, not because of me, because of what you're doing. So thank you. That's incredible. My friends in green. I was a little nervous, Chucky, when you came up because of, I didn't see Paul Cooper here, so I thought that was okay. You know, there wouldn't be a little weird conversation going on, but you've given me the best memories that I can ever imagine in my life. The closeness that we have. When you go to war with somebody, you'd know, and I've gone to war with most of these people that are over here, and, you know, we're still here. So you guys, I love you all. You know that. And I know, I said this all the time, but I know, Chief Kent, if you're here, I just was wondering if there's a possibility that we could get South Portland into Nemlik. I know it's an hour-and-a-half commute, but I think these guys, are you guys willing to come? Are you K-9 guys willing to come? I think they're ready to go, Chief. So it's like the same distance of going to Gloucester almost, from the lowest part of Nemlik, you know? So I think these guys would be happy to come up. And I'd love to have them, to be honest with you. They're all like brothers to me, so. And don't think that I don't remember that comment you said about me being your father. We're nearly the same age. There's no father relationship here. Big brother would have been okay, but father? Seriously? Come on. No father relationship. And I definitely don't want to have that kind of relationship there. My friends, I mean, there's a lot of people here. I've been very fortunate in my life to make a lot of really close, good friends that, have stuck with me and really taken the stress associated with the job away. A lot of my friends are here from Lake Winnipesaukee. I'll give a shout out to you right over here at the table. These people are the best. I love them. We hang around both, up there, and obviously they make trips down here as well, and I appreciate them being here. All my friends, I can see my oldest best friend, Charlie Gendron, in the back. Thank you, Charlie. Means a lot you're here. And then, I certainly want to thank Mark Ginsburg for this, because this is incredible. I mean, he couldn't be here today. He was out of state, out of the country, I believe, or whatever. But he was dying to help and put this all together and help us have a place where we could, celebrate what I'm happy to say is 33 of the best years of my life. So thank you, Mark, for that. Appreciate that. Most of you people that know me know that I have a lot of energy. I don't know, that might be an understatement, but I have a lot of energy, and it doesn't come at caffeine, because I haven't had a cup of coffee in my whole entire life. But I think it's probably about 19 times since the announcement's been made that I'm going to go up and serve as a chief in Maine, that 100 people have sent me a text saying, "You're going to become a maniac now." And most of the people that know me know that I have been a maniac for a long time, that it really isn't this new job that's done that, it's everything else. So, I really, the last thing I want to say, because I appreciate every single person being here. You have made my life a gift that no one could give anybody. The work that we do here, the community service unit we have, the men and women of the police department, we help more people every day through their struggles with substance use and mental health. And every time we interact with somebody, we put people in a better position than when we found them. That was my mission when we started. We all know how to be cops. We know how to handle situations when they're out of control. We know how to handle critical incidents. But to really care, to get involved, and to make sure that it doesn't end with our interaction, that we might be able to do something to give somebody a better life so that they don't have to see us again, they don't have to go through that stress or that critical incident again with the police. I mean, every person that we come in contact with, we follow up with, we try to put in a better position so that we don't interact with them again. And, and there are them out there that we do. But we never, ever give up on anybody. We never stop trying to do better, to do more, to help more people. And I can tell you that that isn't me. That's all of you. The people that I see here in the room, you give 100% every day. I see some friends from, from the Opioid Task Force and all the work that we do in this area. We really have done an incredible job in this area of coming together, learning from one another, because we come from arrest everybody, but not no more, right? And now we work together. We used to work independently on islands. Now we have bridges to all of our islands, and we're doing incredible work. So I plan on bringing this with me up north, with some extra long johns and jackets and gloves and everything else that comes with going to a colder place. But I couldn't be more proud of the work that's going on in this community, in the Greater Lowell area, in the Nemlik region, in the state of Massachusetts. We really are getting it right. We really are helping people. We really are making a difference. Again, this is not about me. This is about all of you. This is about our community. The last thing I want to say is I love this community. I've done everything I possibly can to put us in a position where we are the best community around. And I just hope that I have served you all well, because the community is what really matters most. That's it. I mean, it really does. It's everybody that lives here that matters. Everybody that lives here should be able to feel safe. Everybody should feel like they can lean on the police for anything and get help. And I think we've established something here that's kind of a model for others to follow. And I'm looking forward to watching from a little bit of a distance, not too far, to see all this good work that's been done. And I'm looking, and I say this at every opioid task force meeting, when someone comes up to me and they're nice enough to introduce themselves and say that they'd like to work together, and they give me their card, and I ask them that one question. What is that one question I ask all the time? Can I get your cell phone, right? And after they give me their cell phone, because most people don't tell people with a badge that I'm not going to give you a cell phone, or they're not going to do exactly what you ask of them, right? Once I get that cell phone, you wish you never gave me that cell phone ever in your life, because I use it. I call all the time. It doesn't matter what time, what day, when we need to help somebody. If you've volunteered to help and stepped up, I lean on you, right? So all the good work that the men in blue, the men in green, the men in black, none of us can do what we do without all of the people that are sitting in this room that help people, that, that open up doors for us. I say all the time, when I call a detox or when I call someplace to get somebody in, I say I badge them in. And, it's kind of sad that we have to do that, but generally speaking, nobody ever turns us away when we call from the police department and say, we got to try to get somebody help, we got to try to get somebody in. There should be enough for everybody without that, but I say we got that gift, we got to use it, right? So that's what we do. So that's really about all I want to say is thank you for giving me the greatest joy of my life. I wake up every day, I get goosebumps putting my medal on my uniform. Goosebumps, not because I'm a chief, but because I'm a police officer, and I just feel very fortunate. Quick story, I know this is going on. Quick story, when I got the job up in South Portland, the chief up there wears a suit to work, and I will have none of that, because I am proud to be a police officer, so I wear a uniform to work every single day, and I might stop a car or two on my way home, or might help people when they're here or there. Is that what you think, Mark, maybe, possibly? But, so it's funny, because they have a deputy chief and then a third person in charge, and the third person in charge just got that job, and I guess he just transitioned from a uniform to a suit, and he's like, that chief wears a uniform? Oh, God, we're going to all have to be back in uniform again now. And I'm like, I feel very fortunate to be a cop. I'm very fortunate to have all of you here. I'm very fortunate to have my friends here, my family here, my brothers and sisters here. My love is in this room, and I appreciate everything you've done for me. Thank you.
Robertson and Senator Feingold. And Marion is on her way. If we go to the open show at that point, I'm going to go to the back right now. Right after the announcement, I'll find out.
It wouldn't be police department if we didn't have a change of plans real quick. The legislator would like to give you another award. I think the longer we stay here, the more awards we're going to have. So Senator Feingold, Representative Nugent, and Representative Robinson would like to award you something.
Morning, everybody. Despite being a politician, I'll keep this short. I just wanted to offer a unique perspective I don't think anyone else in the room can offer. You've all worked with Chief Sheehan. Growing up as a teenager here in town, I've actually been chased by him. So I've seen his law enforcement in action. I still got that stride, Chief, coming out of the cornfield, don't worry. You know, when you take the oath and they issue the badge and the gun, that comes from the town, but there's something that each and every one of Chief Sheehan's officers, but him himself, brought back, and that's heart and dedication to this role. And having grown up, I consider myself extremely lucky to have grown up in a community where I could ride my bike down the Batters Up or just around the corner to the middle school, knowing that trouble was always kept away because of the responsiveness and the forward thinking of our police department. Chief Sheehan, you elevated that to another level. When there's an incident or a crime, you responded to it, but you also stopped and asked and said, why did this happen? What can Tewksbury do to make it better? And that's why I know the DA, Representative Wynn, Senator Feingold, and I all think extraordinarily highly of you and listen when you pick up the phone and say, this policy will do X, Y, and Z, or A, B, and C for better and worse. You're more than law enforcement to this town. You're a friend, you're a leader, role model, and it's a bit bittersweet that you're going up to Maine. It really is. So we were thinking about what we can do to let everyone know in Maine where you came from originally. Because for those who maybe not studied history out there, Maine was once part of Massachusetts, then they broke off. Now we're losing the chief up there. So we brought you a flag of the Commonwealth here, so you may fly it with pride, remind Maine what they once were, and it's okay. I think you're probably a better shot. So Chief, thank you for everything you have done, not just as a friend and colleague, but as a resident as well. Appreciate everything. You gotta hold it out.
Should we get in front of the podium?
Yeah. Best of luck.
First time ever, we're actually ahead of schedule. And Deputy Chief Chaput, I win the bet. You thought he was going to go much longer, and he didn't, so. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break. The district attorney's office is on the way. We're going to have her speak a couple of words, and then the chief's going to be able to mingle, and he can do it now. So go ahead, take a 5-minute break. We'll come right back.
I'm sorry to interrupt all of the chatting which people came to do, and I'll only be very quick. But as many of you know, certainly for our office, and I speak today as well for the sheriff who couldn't be here this morning, both he and I say all the time that what makes us able to accomplish what we do in Middlesex County is the relationships that we have with our first responder partners, our police and fire departments. And that relationship is built from the top. We have amazing police and fire chiefs in this county who really are committed to their own community, who understand the importance of partnership, and probably more. And for those of you who aren't in law enforcement or first responding, think about this today. There are probably no jobs that in the last 10 years have changed more dramatically than that of the work we ask police and firefighters to do. When Tim Sheehan went to the academy, I'm sure he didn't see himself being the person who would spend probably 65% of his time figuring out how to get someone to treatment, how to fashion a disposition that would ensure somebody with mental health issues was able to get help and get back in the community. They didn't teach that in the academy then. And in fact, for a very long time, the work that we did essentially consisted of things happening on the street. The courthouse or the police station doors would open, people came in, we handled their case, and they went back out. And often they came back many, many times. And for the kind of change and the kind of work that's been done in this community and across Middlesex County, it takes people who understand people, who understand human nature, who are willing to be flexible, willing to think outside of the box. And Chief Sheehan is an amazing example of that. There is no one who has been more committed to actually thinking about solutions. How do we address someone's needs in a way that they don't have to continue to interact with us? He's been willing to think about solutions that were outside of the box. Let's go and train the library staff on how to respond to an opiate overdose. Let's think about whether we should be supplying the life-saving drug Narcan to funeral homes. Let's think about whether we should change the staff at the police department to include people whose actual job is to help people get help. We are the better for that This community is certainly the better for that. And the lives of so many people in this room, as well as the hundreds of people across the town that we aren't necessarily going to hear from this morning, their lives have been made better by that. We run a drug court up here in Merrimack Valley. It is the only drug court across the Commonwealth that was not part of the trial court's grand plan. It was created really by the needs of the community and the agreement of people without any infusion of new money to come together and do their job differently. Nobody has been a greater supporter of that drug court than Tim Sheehan. He's there for every session. He knows people. He understands what it takes to get yourself into a problem when you're in drug court and how to get yourself back out of that. There's never been something that we wanted to try in Middlesex County that I've reached out to the chief to say, will you do this with us? There might have been a little bit of grumbling, maybe, and yet he's there and he does it. And one of the things that makes our relationships with our chiefs, and particularly Chief Sheehan, so important, is we don't always see eye to eye on everything, but when there's a discussion to be had, we come around the table, we discuss it, we figure it out, and then we do the work we need to do. That makes both my job and the job of the sheriff so much easier and allows us to spend so much more energy on doing the work that we're here to do. And to give you a sense of how far the chief is willing to go in innovative ideas, about a year and a half ago, we had an extraordinarily serious crime scene in another part of the county. And we had a very vast area of land that we needed to search. It was a lot of brush, it was a lot of wetland, and there wasn't an easy way to get in to do that search. And we knew that probably one of the best ways to do that was with a drone. And even a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, we didn't have a lot of drones. And I thought that if anyone would have a drone, Tim Sheehan would have a drone. So I called him, it was pretty late, and I called him to ask him if he had a drone. And he did not. But he was so disappointed and so worried about the fact that he had not been able to respond to the need of another law enforcement agency that I think within 48 hours, Tewksbury had 5 drones. So, and he has named one of the drones after me, so that's a good thing. But, you know, that's a small example, but it shows you how he hears the needs of other people and is willing to respond to that. So this is a very bittersweet day for us. I'm still thinking that he's confused, that he forgot he wouldn't be in Middlesex County at this new job, and that when I hold my task force up at Lowell General, in a couple of weeks, he'll still be there being an outside consultant. But, Chief, seriously, we are the better for your having been here, and we are diminished by your leaving. So I wish you great success. I envy the people of your new community as you step in to be the chief, and know that we are very, very grateful. Thank you.
Group, attention, present, huh?
Tewksbury car 41. pleasure to announce that after over 32 years of service, my father, Chief Timothy B. Sheehan, will be signing off for the final time. Dad, we all wish you the best of luck on your future endeavors. Congratulations on your retirement. I could not have asked for a better father and role model. Your family loves you, and you will be missed by the entire Tewksbury Police Department. I love you, Dad.